The strangest case is the story of today is that it is so strange that I made 6 feature films and documentaries, 7 books, dozens of studies and hundreds of articles just to analyze this crime and its circumstances, and also this story was a major reason for the abolition of the death penalty in England. And let me start because the topic is big. Until 1964, Britain had a law punishing the death penalty for murderers and thugs, and in 1948, a murder committed by the hero of our story, Timothy Evans, which shook English society severely, because this type of husband's murder of his wife and infant daughter was not common, and therefore it was done issuance of the death sentence on him, and in 1950 he was executed amid joy and healed all segments of society for their sympathy with the murdered wife and infant daughter. Honorable Mr. Timothy was weak and of limited intelligence. He grew up in a poor family. When he was 24 years old, he met his wife, Pearl Torthley, and they married and gave her a beautiful baby girl, which forced them to look for a bigger house, and their bad luck landed them on renting a floor in a villa consisting of 3 floors, living on the ground floor, one named John Christie and his wife Ethel. Problems arose between Timothy and his wife, and worsened when he knew that she was pregnant again, and their neighbor Chris was playing the role of the dove of peace, and he always intervened to make peace. And this particular time he convinced Timothy and his wife that he was by nature an expert in abortions, which was forbidden by the government at that time. I would like to shed some light on the neighbor Christie, who was in his early 40s, short in stature, sharp in intelligence and strong in build, as a result of his previous work in the army and his participation in the First World War, and he had a strange problem of its kind, which is that he could only have sex with a woman who was either sleeping or dead, and this is what created the monster inside him. The first victim of Chris was an Austrian immigrant who works in a factory by day and at night a friend of the students. He met her in a bar and took her home. When he failed to have intercourse with her alive, he strangled her and then completed his mission and then buried her in the back garden of his house. The second victim is his co-worker, who was complaining of chest pain, and of course Chris, who has a tender chest, convinced her that he had a special gas at home that cures chest pain, and when she went home with him, he gave her the coal exhaust pipe used at that time for heating. Chris the bastard, after this incident he killed his wife and buried her in the kitchen wall, and then lured a prostitute and killed her, and then raped her, and buried her next to his wife. The last crime, he went to the airport and stole one's wallet and his wife, and then claimed that he was helping them find it. When they reassured him, they rented a house in his house. Over time, the smell in the house, crowded with corpses, became unbearable, and the couple began to complain about the smell and let them fall asleep, so he killed them, raped the wife, and then buried them under the kitchen floor and behind the wall. He stole their money and ran away, forcing Chris to leave the house. What is left to discover? A couple came in his place to rent the house, and while they were doing the renovations they discovered the bodies in the kitchen, and then the police found the rest of the bodies in the garden, under the floor and behind the kitchen walls. There is a space between the wooden wall of the kitchen and the external concrete wall of the house. Timothy was acquitted in the media and put a witness on his grave, and Chris, who confessed to all his crimes, was executed in the electric chair in